Harem Part 5, Non-Monogamy Phases. A blog series published by Girls Chase on the process of building a dating system of multiple women. The goals are to learn the different phases of the relationship, to know when to convert the girl into a non-monogamous setup, to understand the journey to getting her to fully accept the frame. Welcome back to the Harem series. In this article, I will continue discussing how to date and manage relationships with many women in an implicitly non-monogamous arrangement. In parts 3 and 4, we discussed how to compartmentalize your many relationships and structure your lifestyle to balance the number of girls you desire with what's possible within the system. Let's move on to discuss the life cycle of these relationships, as understanding how they evolve is key to affecting their outcome and longevity. After all, every relationship, even outside this system, has a specific life path. As a man, the dominant force in the relationship, you are in control of where it goes. Based on the type of relationship you desire, it's up to the girl to accept it, or reject it and find another man who wants what she wants. As the leader in this dating structure, through the whole process, you'll be guiding the path of these relationships to protect the woman and create the best outcome for both of you. Ideally, you will structure the relationship so that she understands precisely what it is, how non-monogamy works, and whether it's something she wants or not. It's also important to structure this in a way that makes it easy for her to say yes or no and increases the likelihood of her accepting the implicit non-monogamy model, regardless of her own previous experiences and desires. To set up the right path for this system, you must set the correct frames very early, so she understands exactly what it is you do and what she's getting into. You'll be conveying most of the information about the relationship through your behavior, not through words, although they will come into play. The life cycle of this relationship type is split into 6 different parts, and the woman needs to cross all the thresholds to ensure its longevity. If your girl makes it through all these stages within the first 6 months or so, you can bet that she'll be in your life for many years, for as long as you want her to be. I want to be clear that we're mainly talking about emotional, committed, girlfriend-style MLTR relationships here. If you're going to make a girl a friend with benefits, FB, you'll typically only be going through parts 1, 2, and 3, and maybe an element of part 4. Phase 1, get the girl. This is your standard pickup game where you're meeting a woman, taking her out on a date, bringing her home from a night out, or however you choose to meet her. You're going for the seduction to have sex with her for the first time. Sometimes it can take 1 date or even less, but with this kind of frame, you may want to consider extending the process a little to manage your attainability level. You're about to propose a dating system to a girl that's entirely out of the social norm, so the toughest area to work out is going to be your attainability. Sometimes a girl will sleep with you on the first date, and it'll be easy to convert her. I've converted girls I've met in the street, and soon after, I've accepted them into the system. It's also okay to have 2 or 3 dates before you have sex. The only time this becomes a bigger issue is if it goes much longer than that, which is a double-bind situation. The most important part is to have sex with her as quickly as you possibly can, because after you have sex is when the games begin. Phase 2, convert the girl to non-monogamous relationships. You've had sex with her. Excellent. That's the first step to a successful pickup. Once you've picked up a girl, you'll quickly find out whether you like her or not. Maybe the sex is great. Maybe she's super attractive. Perhaps she's got huge tits. Whatever it is, you'll likely want to see her again. The next step is to sleep with her at least 2 to 3 more times, as fast as you can. The best way to achieve this is to give her the best experience the first time. Not only should you have thoroughly shagged her on the first meet, but you should have also planted the seed for seeing her again. At the same time, early on, you should have a good understanding of where she might fit into your system. Do you have room for FBs only or MLTRs? Is this girl MLTR material anyway? You don't want to slot a girl into that role and regret it later. It's usually much harder to take girls out than put them in. Is she attractive? Does she meet your standards for a girlfriend, or not? The goal is to establish yourself as a sexual partner as quickly and as much as possible. In my view, the more you can sexualize your relationship quickly, the better it will be in the long term. Sex is an integral component of this relationship structure and a primary source of your value. Keep in mind that you're also going to be making some solid early frames around announcements. At this time, you're going to set the expectations for the relationship moving forward. So, the goal is to get to second or third time sex as quickly as possible. But then, after that point, you want to settle into a very consistent routine of how you see each other. Quickly determine what her girlfriend value is and what her FB value is and move on from there. Depending on where you potentially see her fitting in, you should start to treat her at the lowest tier of that level. Ideally, all your relationships start at an FB level anyway because your goal is to maintain forward progress over time. The conversion process should last between 1 and 2 weeks at most. Sometimes, for me, it takes just 2 or 3 days. The conversion sets up the stage for the next part, attachment. Phase 3, attachment. The attachment period typically lasts between 3 weeks and 3 months. This is the same time that you're both experiencing the most new relationship energy. There should be lots of frequent, crazy sex, and the general energy of the relationship is high and exciting. These weeks tend to be the very best of your entire relationship, and that is true of any structure. You also quickly find out what the commonalities are between you and your girl and what doesn't quite work between you, determining the future course of the relationship. It is an art. But the most important thing during this phase is to be super disciplined as far as the harem system goes. If she likes you, your girl is going to push you to invest in her. She's going to want you to see her often, and you're going to want to see her, too, if you like her. We're limited in how often we see our girlfriends. You can only see your MLTRs once a week and your FBs once every 7 to 10 days. You must abide by this from the start, requiring a specific kind of discipline regarding how you treat these women as far as texting goes and such. I've already covered this aspect previously in the series. You won't have to limit your behavior with any woman forever. We are just setting the stage for a girl to accept a relationship style that is likely going to conflict with everything she's ever learned in her life. It's going to be good for her in the long term, and for you as well. But first, she must accept it, so we need to train her in it and expose her to it in the right way. Most of the girls I bring into the system are not from the non-monogamous community. They are almost always unfamiliar with how the whole thing works. And it's often their very first exposure to anything like it, which is why you need to run things well. This is also why I like to be extra careful with these women, because you have the potential to hurt them if you're not careful. It's best to manage them as best you can in the acceptance stage, which can take some time. During this time, your girl is most likely going to ask you about where you two are going. She's going to try to see exactly how much investment she can get from you. You need to resist the investment as well as any implications of labels or anything like that. When she asks you about where the relationship is going, you need to brush it off for as long as possible. A point will come where you will have to talk about it. But you want to stall it for as long as possible and have her invest as much as you can in the lead up to that moment. You want to make sure she sees enough good reasons to date you before you have the talk. Phase 4, the talk. The talk is the most defining moment of your time together. And it is so crucial that our next article in the series is going to focus on it exclusively, but we'll go over it briefly here. The talk will usually occur between 3 to 6 months down the line. Sometimes even longer if you're great at frame control. Sometimes, it will happen sooner, and other times, a girl will naturally drop out during the attachment phase because she doesn't see a future. That's okay, not all girls fit into this dating system. You must have a true abundance mentality and make an effort to seek out new women for this model to work well for you. At some point, or points, during the attachment period, your girl is going to express that she needs to know where the relationship is going before she gets too invested. It can unfold in many ways. And it usually looks and feels like drama. It might start as an overly dramatic moment, or it may be very intense. You must prepare for it to happen at any point. At first, you'll be deflecting it. But there will be a point where it's not going to be possible anymore. It's best that it happens as late in the life cycle as possible. When it happens, you have the talk. I really like you. You are very special to me. I care about you, and I want to be with you. However, I can never be with just one woman. I'm just not that kind of guy. I do like you, though. And I'm excited to see where this goes. You are free to leave if you want, of course, but I hope you don't. Usually, after you have the talk, the girl will start acting very peculiarly. She may cry. Or she might be very quiet and think about it for a second, then behave as if everything is normal, telling you I'll need to think about it later when I'm alone. She may ask you questions about what you want. She might pounce on you and screw your brains out for hours. Girls have had all kinds of reactions. The most important thing is for you to remain calm and hold your frame no matter what happens or what she says or does. It's important to do this, because you're trying to show her exactly where you stand with her, and this is what must happen. You care for the girl, and you want to see her. However, you also want to be honest and upfront about what the situation is and what you're doing. It's important to do this because you don't want to set the wrong expectations with her. It may take her a few days to come to terms with it, so be present and patient with her. This is the most pivotal moment in this type of relationship setup, where she will either accept the system or reject it and leave. Phase 5, partial acceptance, or rejection. Now that you've had the talk, the next few weeks will be very telling. It's important not to change your behavior in any way. Don't be nervous, don't be shy, don't be more aggressive, and don't be needier in any way. You need to show her that what you have proposed is exactly the way it was before, that it's nothing new. Thus, your behavior must remain exactly as it was before. That's why you must be so disciplined and careful earlier in the process, because you are building up to this point. In the next few weeks, the girl is going to test you on your frame. Sometimes in very subtle ways. I can't describe the exact specifics of the tests, but know that they will happen often. She's going to test if you're serious about what you said during the talk or not. It's down to you to uphold the frame that you desire in the relationship you've set up with her. As she's going to do her best to throw out a high bid for something else. We are honest about our intentions. You've told her you won't be exclusive with her and she needs to accept that or find someone else who fits that relationship paradigm. Typically, a girl only has a certain amount of time to make babies, and that requires some commitment from a man. In this relationship style, you are committing to her but not exclusively. Of course, exclusivity and commitment are the only things that truly matter to a woman in the end, so that's the most socially accepted, normal kind of relationship. What you're proposing, on the other hand, is hugely socially ambiguous, and she may not know how to react to it, so she'll test you on your belief in it. Certain circles accept standard polyamory more than they do this system. But this one has many benefits over the other, as I discussed in my article on implicit and explicit relationships. We are trying to make an Overton window shift with this woman. So be patient with your frame. Treat her very well, but do not put up with any drama. We're going to cover drama management strategies in a future series. Phase 6, full acceptance. After some time, if you've done everything well, the girl will likely arrive at full acceptance. This means she's fully accepted or rejected the MLTR system. Either she will leave entirely, she'll dip in and out several times, or she'll stay on with you. Precedence is critical in the harem system. Your precedents indicate how you will treat her moving forward, based on your past behavior. Therefore, you absolutely must treat her well from the get-go and cause as few problems as possible. Additionally, when drama comes up, you must deal with it quickly, without hesitation. Our goal is to date different girls long-term. I'm not trying to see a girl for only 3 to 6 months, or even less. If I like a girl, I want to see and keep her around for years, while also creating enough room to see new women. You must focus the first 6 months of this relationship entirely on setting the stage for the next few years you want to be together. You must make sure this is a highly sexual relationship. The entire time, you should be having extremely awesome, high-quality, intense, orgasmic sex with your woman. The more often you can have sex and the more orgasms you can give her before and after the talk, the more valuable it becomes for her to stick with you in this arrangement rather than go to some other guy who will offer her monogamy. If she is an attractive girl, there will be many loser guys who will want to offer her monogamy. You are selling her on the fact that you are better than all those guys, and that's why she's going to stick with you in this relationship setup. Meanwhile, you're going to be able to date lots of different women at the same time. You're going to show them you're an awesome guy, one of the best they've ever met in their life. Remember, women will always test. If she's an MLTR, she's the closest thing to a monogamous girlfriend that you're going to have. Eventually, you may even want to consider moving her into a more exclusive relationship, but we will talk about that later. That's moving more into standard polyamory, where you have primary and secondary partners. Summarizing the 6 phases of relationship acceptance. I hope that I've taught you a little bit about how the harem system plays out regarding commitment for the woman. Essentially, you've set the frame that you are a guy who cannot be with just one woman at any given time, you must have multiple women. But you do care about your girlfriend. The future with her is something you're leaving up to her. You're showing her that you're going to treat her well, give her great sex, and be a great partner to her, no matter what. However, you're running through all these stages to create the best outcome during the talk, which we'll cover in part 6 of the series. In part 7, we'll also cover whether it constitutes lying to not talk about your liaisons with other women. The harem system requires a high degree of relationship independence and a strong abundance mentality. You need to see every woman you're dating as special, but at the same time, every woman is ultimately replaceable. One of the best things about this dating system is that girls can step into and out of the system at will, and you're also setting them up to do this. Almost every single one of my long-term girlfriends has had a point where they've lost faith in the system. I've watched them leave me, only for them to come back a few days, weeks, or months later. And I welcomed them back into my life. That is the beauty of this. They can come and go at will, depending on where they are in life and what they want. Sometimes, once a girl's had enough negative experiences with other men, she'll see how valuable a relationship can be with you, even if it's not monogamous. We're going to cover girls dating other men and shifting in and out of the system in Part 8. Meanwhile, I hope you enjoy setting up your next relationships with your new girlfriends.